When there is a crisis, what is needed, or who is needed? Media. Independent media telling true stories. Our next presenter is Head of Preparedness from National Emergency Supply Organization in Finland. The media's role in security of supply and societal resilience is her subject. Welcome, Senni, Jyrkiäinen.
Good morning, everyone. Hyvää huomenta. Thank you so much for the invitation and for the opportunity to speak here today. It's very lovely to be here in Tampere with you. First of all, my warm congratulations to Yle on its 100th anniversary. It is very fitting that this conference is part of the celebration. The theme of the conference, Shared Moments, also resonates strongly with my topic today. The ways in which trusted media help build collective resilience. And let's see if I can use the... Yeah, now it's working, great. So today I will discuss media as a sector critical to society's preparedness, share with you insights of the Finnish preparedness model, and reflect on the importance of reliable and verified information in crisis situations, with a particular focus on regional and local media and media's role in sustaining society's resilience during crises. Before diving into the topic, just a few words to present myself. So I work at Mediapooli. And what is Mediapooli? It is part of the Finnish National Emergency Supply Organization. There are almost 30 pools, and Mediapooli is one of them. As a head of preparedness, my role focuses on strengthening preparedness within the media sector and supporting media organizations in preparing for large-scale crises. I come to this work with a background in research, including some publications in media anthropology and research conducted in emergency and conflict-affected settings in the Middle East. As well as situational awareness work in the media field and hands-on experience from crisis preparedness exercises. So this combination, I hope, of analytical and practical perspectives can shape the way I approach media resilience today. So before turning to today's question on how do we build media preparedness here in Finland and collective resilience within the media field, let me briefly sketch the Finnish context in which we operate. By preparedness, I feel the need to define the key concept as I have my background in research. So by preparedness, I mean the practical work of anticipating crises, maintaining continuity, and exercising for exceptional circumstances. And by security of supply, I mean society's ability to safeguard functions that are indispensable in serious disruptions. In the media sector, this means the continuity of reliable and verified information. In Finland, this work rests on 4 broad pillars. First, the legal and policy framework matters, obviously. Media freedom is guaranteed by the Constitution. And in 2024, this is what was published, the Finnish government decision on the objectives of security of supply. And it states that safeguarding mass communication and its infrastructures is necessary and essential. So the dissemination of news and information encompasses the production of content by mass media outlets committed to journalistic principles. Publication in both physical and electronic formats, and targeting or mass distribution. And this is what kind of guides our work, ensuring the conditions for free and diverse media that supports society's safety and accountable freedom of speech under all circumstances is a priority for safeguarding society. Securing mass communication and its infrastructure is essential. So what about the other pillars? The second pillar, here in Finland, the trust in news remains high. According to the Reuters Institute digital news report, Finland is among the highest trust countries, with 67% saying they trust most news most of the time. At the same time, I need to say that the situation, even though it's generally very good, we know that, for example, among some language minorities, for example, among the Russian-speaking language minority, the trust is not that high. So we are also aware that the situation is not that good among all people living in Finland, and also when it comes to higher income or lower income people. So there are differences. So this I have to say. Then the third pillar, I think Finland benefits from strong media literacy skills, which we believe also strengthens resilience during crises. And fourth, our preparedness work is supported by Finland's long tradition of professional self-regulation through the Council for Mass Media and the Journalists' Guidelines. And our work thus builds on a media system with a strong regional and local press, a strong public service broadcaster, and a long-standing professional norms that support credibility and accountability. After going now through the four pillars and introducing the key concepts, let me now move on to the question on how do we build preparedness and our ability to face crises here in Finland. The Finnish model is a comprehensive one. Collaboration between the public, private and third sectors is critical to ensuring security of supply. The idea of this large network is that in a networked society, preparedness requires extensive collaboration among authorities, businesses and organizations. As regards the public sector, Finnish ministries are responsible for steering and overseeing their administrative branches so that the functions critical to society are safeguarded. The voluntary participation of the private sector has always been characteristic of Finland's efforts to ensure security of supply. This public-private partnership is built upon experiences gained during the Second World War and the models of operation established shortly after the war. In our thinking, critical infrastructure forms the basis of security of supply, and it includes both physical structures as well as digital functions. Information and communication systems are part of this critical infrastructure. In his 2024 report, Safer Together, Strengthening Europe's Civilian and Military Preparedness and Readiness, former President of the Republic of Finland, Sauli Niinistö, in his capacity as Special Advisor to the President of the European Commission, writes, "A common interest like preparedness requires common responsibility. Each individual has a stake in building and maintaining security. For example, by choosing what kind of information sources we trust. In Finland, media is formally recognized as a sector critical to preparedness. In other words, media is understood not simply as a channel of communication, but as part of the infrastructure that helps society function under stress. Finnish preparedness policy explicitly states that safeguarding mass communication and its infrastructures is essential, as I already pointed out earlier, and this includes securing the conditions for a free and plural media in all circumstances. So let me go back to this slide. As I mentioned, we have almost 30 pools, and media is there with some other pools related to digital society. And there are also pools that focus on fuel or air transport or food industry. So what is the thinking behind this model? We think that in times of crisis, just as we depend on clean water, food, energy, and medicine, we equally need reliable and verified information to navigate uncertainty and uphold resilience. At the EU level, criticality is recognized clearly in sectors such as postal and courier services and digital infrastructure as well. The Finnish approach is aligned with the thinking, but it also makes visible the role of journalistic media, as is pointed out, as I pointed out earlier. So not only the networks and delivery systems through which information moves, but the value of professionally produced, accountable information is regarded essential. This is particularly important in an environment when unmoderated social media and platform-based communication cannot guarantee impartial, verified, or locally relevant information in the same way. So a few words about Mediapooli's structure. So the idea is that pools bring together all the different preparedness activities of the sector and aim at creating best practices for it. So Mediapooli brings together media companies, distribution and printing actors, public authorities, and technical service providers. We have the, as you can see okay, here, we have the executive board and also 3 expert groups focusing on printing and distribution, broadcasting and cybersecurity, and on information resilience. Here you can see the groups. And in the group focusing on information resilience, we have editors-in-chief and authorities, and we discuss questions related to journalistic safety in digital and physical environments. We also discuss FIMI, foreign information manipulation and interference, and topics like this. But I have to say that we always respect journalistic guidelines and the fact that decision-making power always rests with the editorial offices. So we never discuss editorial issues, that I have to point out clearly. But what do we do when we meet and our network has a seminar, a meeting? So we try to act as a forum for cooperation. And their media companies and authorities can work together to find solutions that develop and support cyber security, for example, in the media sector, counter hybrid threats and disinformation. We can think together how to guarantee the continuity of media operations in special situations, serious disturbances and emergencies, and how can we share the best practices. Actually, the Mediapooli office is very small. We are just 2 persons, me and my colleague. So it's all about having this network. And at Mediapooli, we never tell the media companies, you have to do this, you have to do that, but we can share best practices, we can give recommendations, we can do trainings, but it's all about sharing good examples and discussing together. This is how we operate, and we have regular meetings, and we have also different kinds of events. So then, as I already mentioned, we try to create best practices. We also have different kinds of projects that we launch. But Mediapooli's preparedness work is also cross-sectoral. In practice, this means close cooperation, not only within the media industry, but also with actors responsible for energy, digital infrastructure, logistics, and regional preparedness coordination. In Mediapooli's own exercises and scenario work, cooperation with energy sector, for instance, the wider emergency supply organization and regionally critical logistics and distribution networks has emerged as especially important to ensure continuity. And our network-based model is, I may say, it's built on 3 principles. So we need shared situational awareness. So we also do analysis, and we try to share information on what's happening and what's going on in different parts of the country and in different media companies. I have to be clear that what we can never discuss is anything related to business secrets, so sharing these kind of like financial numbers or something that is not on our focus, but sharing situational awareness to strengthen preparedness. Then we do different kinds of events, joint planning and exercises. We organize scenario-based tabletop exercises, focusing on exceptional circumstances such as cyber attacks, military conflict, even these times, foreign information, influence operations, and large-scale power outages. And even though most of our events take place in the capital Helsinki, we have done tours around Finland. For example, some years ago we did this cyber tour where we trained people together with media companies, cyber experts on cyber issues. And there are also regional tabletop exercises done in cooperation with different local actors. And we also every year organize a Cyber Day where we invite speakers and share examples. And then we also do studies. Lately, we have done studies on information information resilience, for example, Chinese and Russian information operations in Finland and in neighboring countries. So we try to be aware of this kind of phenomena. So besides analytical and practical work, we focus on network building to strengthen long-term resilience. Okay, so then let me move on to the question of why locality matters. Although Finland has a population of only around 5.7 million people, geography matters greatly. Distances are quite long, especially in the north. Population density is uneven, and sparsely populated areas have different challenges for access, logistics, and continuity than cities. In Mediapolis, Mediapolis distribution scenarios stress that in eastern and northern Finland, thinning settlement patterns is something we will face in some areas in the future, and we have to think about it. Finland also shares roughly 1,340 kilometers of border with Russia, which strongly shapes Finnish preparedness thinking and the need to take hybrid threats and long-term disruptions seriously. Let me now turn to one specific perspective on preparedness and security of supply, why locality matters. A very recent example from Finland makes this point clearly. Last Friday, people in the Uusimaa region were advised to move indoors because of the risk of stray drones entering Finnish airspace. We followed the official public warning, but at the same time, I found myself, like everyone else I know, repeatedly checking Yle and other news media for updates, explanation, and reassurance. So alerts tell people that something is happening, but journalism helps people feel connected. From a media anthropological perspective, political scientist Benedict Anderson's idea of the imagined communities is useful here, I think. Anderson wrote how media enables people to imagine themselves as part of a wider community of strangers. The key point is that media does more than deliver information. It can create a sense of shared time and belonging. This has, I believe, something to do with collective resilience. That, in a very practical sense, is why also locality matters. Even when a threat is discussed at a national level, it is always experienced somewhere concrete. People want to know whether it concerns their area, their route home, their children's school, their workplace or family. Preparedness is therefore not only about national systems, it is about whether information can be translated into forms that are meaningful and actionable in the places where people actually live. This is where local and regional media become essential. From a preparedness perspective, the risk of the weakening of local media is therefore not just an industry issue. It is a resilience issue as well. And Mediapolis studies also discuss the risk of news deserts, places where there would be no trusted local newsroom able to verify information. challenge rumors and make uncertainty manageable. In such situations, local information does not disappear, but it may be replaced by unverified, non-journalistic or platform-driven content whose reliability is much more uneven, especially in exceptional circumstances. This is also why stronger regional situational awareness matters so much. In fact, this strengthening regional situational awareness is one of the focus areas for our National Emergency Supply Organization this year. So this is something we try to think more closely this year. In Mediapooli's recommendations for media organizations, we emphasize the importance of regional cooperation, the need to connect media preparedness with broader local and regional networks. In other words, preparedness works best when local perspectives are not treated as secondary, but as part of the core intelligence of the whole system. And there is a broader preparedness lesson here as well. Regional risk assessments in Finland show clearly that crises do not unfold evenly across the country. Disruptions in communications, energy, logistics, digital systems, etc. cascade differently in different places, depending on geography, infrastructure, and local interdependencies. That is why situational awareness must be built not only nationally, but regionally too. In Finland, preparedness is built, not built only at one level, but it works through several layers, as you can see here. Individual and household preparedness. We also at home, we follow the 72 hours rule, and we have enough water and food for 72 hours. Also chocolate, I have that also. Regional cooperation, I will tell you a little bit about it. National coordination, and also we need international cooperation. So we have something called Regional Preparedness Cooperation Committees, or ELVAR committees, as we say here, and they are an important part of this picture. In our preparedness material, ELVAR cooperation is identified as useful for disturbances because the effects of crises are regionally different, and these ELVAR committees, they have very much local knowledge that can be very useful. Okay, now I show you a new scenario. It's a very it's a like recent addition to the Finnish preparedness toolkit. It's published by the National Emergency Supply Agency. So there is the National Emergency Supply Agency and then the wider organization. And the scenario, it's a very serious one, and it is certainly not a forecast, but a tool for preparedness exercises. And in fact, it describes a faced military crisis affecting society's critical functions and asks what kinds of capabilities and cooperation would be needed in such a situation. So any company, media company or other company, they can use this scenario if they want to have an exercise, and we also do something together within the organization. What is also relevant is that the scenario makes the regional dimension very visible here. It highlights growing instability near Finland's eastern border, including intensified pressure, instrumentalized migration, increased intelligence activity and disruption, particularly in border areas. It also shows the effects of a crisis that the effects of a crisis would not be geographically uniform. People may move away from border regions. Service pressures differ by area, and in a prolonged crisis, more responsibility is pushed to regions and municipalities for local prioritization and logistics as well. And in that sense, this scenario reinforces a central preparedness lesson. National crises are always experienced unevenly, and regional conditions matter greatly for resilience. This is something we, of course, know from our history too. So, let me end with a few practical lessons from our work that I wish to share with you. So, we need cooperation on many levels. This we have learned: regional, national, and international. We want and we need to constantly learn from each other to strengthen our preparedness and to support each other. And we need to exchange ideas, and I think this is also why we are here today. So one thing that we regularly do, we invite international guests to share their work, practices and projects with us. For example, we are part of the Council of Europe's Journalists Matter campaign, and every spring we launch a seminar where we are studying a specific topic related to journalistic safety. Last year we had a speaker from the Netherlands introducing the Parsveilig model for us. This year we had guest speakers from England and from Sweden. And for example, from our Swedish colleagues, we learned about a pilot project where Swedish newspaper publishers, working closely with the police authority, have led a national initiative in which editorial teams and local police districts have been invited to engage in dialogue and crime prevention collaboration to improve journalistic safety on a very local level. And for example, this is a project that we studied this year, trying to learn every year something new. And as our Swedish friends pointed out, it has become clear that structured collaboration can make a difference, both for the safety of journalists and for democratic discourse. Maybe next year we may have one of you as our guest speaker. Always happy to learn new about new projects and models. Also, our cooperation with Ukrainian media professionals is also very close to our hearts. Some years ago, we together with Yle, we launched a round table discussion where we had some Suspilne representatives, and we always appreciate the situation to listen to our Ukrainian colleagues and their experiences. When we work on preparedness and resilience in Finland, Ukraine is very often in our thoughts. Then I wish to share another case with you. What did we learn through the case Corona Facts? The lesson was: plan well ahead, but stay flexible. This lesson came from the pandemic. For Mediapooli, COVID-19 was a real stress test. One thing it taught us very clearly was that in crises, ready-made models matter, but they are never enough on their own. Centralized coordination can speed up action. Routines and templates are important, but crisis response also requires flexibility. adaptation and sometimes quite creative operating methods when normal working arrangements are disrupted. I wasn't working with Mediapooli back then, but my colleagues have told me that, for example, when the region of Uusimaa was closed, it was very important to have lawyers in the network, because the question was how journalists can do their work when the border of Uusimaa region is closed. So then Mediapooli was trying to help to find answers as quickly as possible. So it's very good to have a diverse network ready. The pandemic also reminded us how essential trusted information becomes in moments of uncertainty. What Reuters Institute we know from the digital news report, we know that overall trust in news was even higher at the height of the coronavirus pandemic than it is today, and that trusted news brands were among the main places people here in Finland went when they wanted to check whether something online was true or false. But at the same time, even though Finns were very, very active in entering the news sites, we know that maybe, especially younger people, maybe they wouldn't enter the news sites that actively, but it would be also very important to reach them. So what Mediapooli did at the time, together with the Finnish government, they decided to ask social media influencers to join voluntarily. Whoever wanted to share reliable information, they could join the Corona Facts campaign. And in fact, hundreds of influencers volunteered. And this is the way how also some younger audiences were reached. And this is one example of a creative way that, or creative method that was tested back then. Yet, we are aware that the ways in which people consume media, and here I mean both news media and social media, are becoming more diverse all the time. Finnish teenagers also find, or the most popular way to find their news is via TikTok. And then again, for the older citizens, it might be the print media and television. So how can we reach all the people during crisis, old and young, different language minorities, etc. So that's a question we need to actively think about. And finally, by the way, this is Yle journalist Johanna Vehko. She was also attending and speaking in our spring seminar. So the final point I want to make is that network-based preparedness depends on trust. In practice, that means clear shared principles, clear boundaries, and a shared understanding of what can be discussed, but also what cannot. Trust makes it possible to exchange experiences, good practices, and lessons learned across organizations, while fully respecting editorial independence and the limits of confidentiality. At the same time, preparedness becomes stronger when the network already exists before a crisis begins. When people know each other regionally, nationally, internationally, cooperation is faster, and the response is hopefully more effective. Mediapooli's work suggests that trust grows when analytical work is combined with practical cooperation, be it roundtables, trainings, tabletop exercises. In the end, resilience is built often locally, but never alone. It depends on trusted journalism, strong networks, and the ability to work together. Finally, I come back to ordinary people in the middle of crisis, and to Benedict Anderson's idea of imagined communities. Journalistic media helping people to feel a sense of belonging and togetherness. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senni, Jyrkiäinen. We have 5 minutes for the questions, so scan the code there and ask questions. And the first one is there already, so you can answer.
So what is the weakness of the Finnish media environment when considering the resilience? Thank you for this very important question. So I would say, as in many countries, also media, of course, needs finances and needs financial resources. So when we discuss with different media companies, what we often hear that with less resources, it's also very hard to strengthen resilience, and because it needs resources, it needs time, etc. So it's not an easy combination. So while we try to encourage the companies, okay, do exercises regularly, attend trainings, etc. So when you have less resources, it's not an easy combination. And what do you consider being the biggest threats to information resilience in the recent security scenario? So there are many things I could mention, but okay, let's talk a few words about media literacy. In Finland, it tends to be high, but with generative AI and with these social media platforms that follow rules very vaguely, sometimes their own rules. So for example, when we have the next election, if there are any like any harmful online campaigns, so what kind of tools citizens need to be able to be media literate enough, and then again how fast the verification tools can be used. So this is something we also discussed in our spring seminar. So that is something that I would like to point out, media literacy. What is the role of language, especially minority languages, in your work? So we know quite a bit about the Russian-speaking language minority. We have cooperated with some researchers and organizations that know about it, but we also are aware that we don't know so much about other language minorities in Finland. Here, of course, Yle is doing a very good job, and we are also cooperating with Yle, but this year we will have a project where we try to understand better how different language minorities use media, if they, how much they use the Finnish news media, what kind of, like how they could be reached during a crisis. So we don't know enough, and we need to know more, and that's why we have a project on this year. And then, did the war in Ukraine affect the role or work of Mediapooli? Yes. I haven't I know some people who have worked in this field for decades, and what they have told me is that maybe this work was much more theoretical in earlier times, but now it's far from theoretical. It's very practical, and for sure what's happening in Ukraine, it has affected our work. And also, if you look at the scenarios we are studying, they are very serious ones, and also affected by the war in Ukraine.
One more question.
So from your perspective, how should news companies protect their local presence? What can I say? When there is less less funding, but it's like even it's a question of democracy, like local. And as I already mentioned, it's also a question of resilience. Maybe one point that can be made is that it's also it's a question of democracy, but also a preparedness question. So to be resilient, we need local newsrooms, and we need journalistic media in all areas. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions later, feel free to contact me. I'm very happy to share more with you. And I wish a very nice conference day for all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senni.